to build an athlete, that's the prototype I'd want to be.
He would build it at 5'10", 212 pounds of ripped muscle, 28 years old, the wrestler Randleman. Pete Williams, the submission fighter, 24 years old. A great reach advantage at 6'3", so that's a 5-inch difference in height, and much heavier, but you won't outstrength Kevin Randleman. There are few in the world who can. A ground and pound guy, Randleman, like his idol, Mark Coleman, and a diversified fighter right here in an even bigger and stronger Pete Williams. Our referee for this championship bout, 5 rounds, 5 minutes each, will be none other than Big John McCarthy. There is a lot of feeling of vengeance right here. Randleman takes to center of the ring, shoots immediately. I mean, this man was absolutely beside himself after the decision against Boss Rutan.
Oh my gosh, what a position.
He comes out there with great strength.
He tried to lift Williams. Williams stopped him, and then Randleman got caught in a back arched position, and I thought Williams was going to land in the mount. Nice trip, the same kind of move that actually hurt Jason De La Lucia earlier in this fight. But Williams lands safely, has that open guard on Randleman now, and you can see the effectiveness of the length of Pete Williams, stretching Randleman out, making it difficult for Randleman even to reach up towards Petey's head.
I think it's important just to note as we watch our heavyweight fight that Jason De La Lucia will be just fine in the future. An unfortunate injury to end that fight earlier tonight. But this is all about one thing and one thing only. The heavyweight belt on the line for the second time in the UFC's history in the great country of Japan. The last time it was Randy Couture defeating Maurice Smith. The winner here will be our new heavyweight champion.
Drop your hips. Walk it, drop it, go! Drop your hips, Cam. Be patient.
Well, I'm reading Timo Baki on the backside of Randleman. He's out of the Hammer House, and that's who he fights for, but he's been training down in the Atlanta area with Timo Baki. Timo Baki run by Tim Catalfo and Ken Taylor. And they now are putting together mixed martial art athletes for competition, not only in the UFC, but around the world.
Well, here's a side note to that story. Shortstop for the Braves, Walt Weiss, actually works out with Timo Baki. And in the winning clubhouse of the Atlanta Braves, when they won the NLCS this year, were some members of the Hammer House, including our former champion, Mark Coleman. So, you know, Walt Weiss, the Braves shortstop, who had a great postseason, especially defensively, is watching tonight with interest for his buddy, working out with Timo Baki now, Kevin Randleman.
Neck crank by Randleman. I'm not sure if he's trying to smother Pete Williams or, you know, crank the neck to get him to submit, but Williams seems fine there, striking from there. And up to now, Randleman, aside from that early burst for the takedown, really has not done much here in the top position. Might be trying to feel how Williams sets up and transitions into his very effective submission locks. He's been able to take out the last few fighters, Travis Fulton, Jason Godsey. So that respect, keeping Randleman from really getting up and just flurrying in the ground and pounds. Transitioning now to a headlock, still inside Williams' guard. He needs to be careful. If Williams is able to pop his head out, get to the side, he might be able to reverse, take Randleman's back.
Go, Kevin.
Kevin staying active, a right and a left.
Nothing direct. Looks like most of it's glancing or bouncing off the arms of Williams, but Randleman now getting active.
The mental frustration for Kevin Randleman may be to try to do too much at times, Jeff.
And certainly
because
that's a waste.
he left it in someone else's hands before and it didn't go his way.
And certainly that's a waste when you're inefficient with your energy burned. You want to be efficient with it, so you should pace yourself. The time to flurry is when you really smell blood and you still have the resolve and energy to get it done. Williams stretching Randleman out. Again, those punches, they're glancing. You can give them partial scoring, but they're not truly effective punches and hitting cleanly. Look at how far away he is. His head's all the way down by Williams' waistline. He'd be lucky just to reach Petey's head from there. But this is Randleman's style. He's proven effective with it. And one thing Williams said coming into this is Randleman was able to dictate pace against Boss Rutan and Maurice Smith. They didn't dictate pace, Randleman did. And Pete felt it was imperative that he find a way to dictate pace against Randleman. make them work, make them burn energy.
Now, Randleman has really credited his workouts with Team Obaki, calling it the best gym in the nation. Working out with the best Obaki fighters, winning submissions, and picking up some punches that time by Pete Williams.
3 landed in a row now.
Quick reversal
Randleman
of fortune.
scrambling, and the position they're in, Pete can't find Randleman's head. So he's going to hit him in the ribs. And it was all set up because Randleman was doing a neck crank and got way too high, and Randleman able to roll a little bit. And wow, they're in a mount now. He's in a mount now. Oh, and he's scoring on Randleman.
Clock's going to turn out to be the enemy of Pete Williams here.
What a funky position. Somehow Randleman's arm is trapped between the calf and the hamstring of Williams. He couldn't move his left arm. It was pinned in there. Funky position, and something's wrong with Randleman. I'm not sure what's going on here. I can't see Randleman's face on this view. He's breathing, he's moving. He's communicating with Big John McCarthy, obviously. He's grabbing his chest. I wonder if he injured himself. What is going on here? Here's the reversal where he got a little high. Williams moved a little bit, caught him off guard, got to his feet, and then connected in several punches. But as he maneuvers here to try to face Randleman and find his head, Randleman's left arm got bound up in the legs of Williams and trapped. And you see him reaching for it. Maybe it was a rib. He might have torqued the rib.
Torqued a rib, pulled a muscle in the rib cage, some cartilage, that whole area.
Yeah, he was sort of grabbing right around, you know, his left.
Underneath the left arm, right?
Yeah, the pec. And I'm wondering if he popped a rib or something, twisting on the ground with Williams sitting directly on him in that fashion.
Well, that round belonged to Randleman right till the last 30 seconds or so.
That was bizarre. I don't know what was going on, but John McCarthy appeared to be talking to him, so he wasn't out in any way. He was pointing at his rib as if he hurt himself.
Now, he prides himself on being a warrior, and if indeed there is an injury that has occurred to Kevin Randleman, there is no quit in Kevin Randleman as we start the second round.
It was his left arm. And there, he didn't really punch with that left arm. He shot in, and then he pulled the arm back in. Let's see if it has something to do with that left side. And Petey's targeting that area.
Absolutely. He tried to kick it a second ago.
You bet. Now we'll see here. If he's unable to really pull Williams in, you know there's something going on with that left side. And Williams having no mercy there. He's punching it.
He can't have any mercy, because Kevin Randleman certainly wouldn't have any mercy on Pete Williams. And that is just the discipline of fighters. It isn't disrespect. It's the realism of what your job is to do when you're in there. Absolutely. I mean, listen to some of the pre-fight quotes from Kevin Randleman on Pete Williams. Pete Williams is history. I'm not the type of person who's going to look at Pete Williams and say, oh my gosh, I've got to watch his kick.
Inside trip there, knock him down.
The bottom line is win or lose. If Pete Williams kicks, if he lifts his leg off the ground, it will be his demise. No one can kick me, hope to win. I'm sorry, you're not going to break a rib. He says Pete Williams is a great guy, great young guy. His time as champion will come. Randleman says my day is tonight.
It's funny that he said a kick won't break his rib, but certainly him sitting on his chest might have. I'm lost as to what happened there. But clearly Randleman wasn't out. It seemed that John McCarthy was talking with him.
I mean, he used words as robbed and disgraced and that of the decision. And of course, that's one man's opinion. The man who the decision went against Boss Rutten. But still, he gets his shot here for the heavyweight championship. As we announced earlier in the night, Boss being a middleweight, hoping to lure Frank Shamrock out of retirement in the next millennium.
Well, the first round ended in a big flurry, and unfortunately, that has not continued on at the start of the second round. Randleman, a beautiful inside trip, using his right leg to knock Williams down, and they are now trapped in the guard. Randleman looking for opportunities to score. Williams doing some rabbit punching to Randleman's head. Also open palm slapping to Randleman's head because of the impact and stinging power.
Here, Ken Shamrock in the background. And Mark Coleman, two former champions.
This is where he got in trouble last time, but he's back a little bit. He isn't doing the neck crank, putting him forward another foot. Here he's still balanced off, but this is where he got in trouble last time. His hips are high. Oh, good arm attempt. He might have it. Oh, I can't believe, oh, he got it out. I don't know what Williams had him locked up. It looked like if he truly arched hard, he might have got it. But Randleman's power, woo, pulled the arm directly out.
That is pure, a little bit of sweat, you're right, but pure brute strength. And what our fans need to understand, it's not just the arm against the arm there. I mean, Pete Williams is leveraging with his entire body, his weight, his flexibility, his durability against one limb of Kevin Randleman. It's not as if you just pull it away like an arm wrestling matchup.
It seemed like he took his time building the pressure up, and that might have been the out for Randleman, but it appeared as though he had that arm locked out, and it appeared somewhat extended. Couldn't see the whole elbow there, but it had looked as though Randleman's arm was extended.
You and Big John taught me back in December of '97 in Japan that when you get in that situation, it's little movements. You got to pull it out because you're not just going to tug it out in a rope. You got to work it easily, but we saw Randleman almost tug it out, which goes against the principles of breaking yourself out of an attempted submission.
There's been a few wrestlers in MMA competition, Kenny Monday getting out of Lober's arm bar, and then there, Randleman just muscling, pure muscle, being able to break that hold off. And big advantage having that kind of power, but you also have to say Randleman's got to be smarter than to get caught in that position. But that's what we call effectiveness from the guard. That was an extremely threatening attempt that almost ended the fight, and if you were scoring, that is how you go ahead and score effectively from the guard position.
There's a hammer, Mark Coleman. 30 seconds remains in round number 2. The heavyweight championship here in Tokyo, Japan.
And really, Randleman has not been all that active this round. And again, well, there's that left hand, so apparently his ribs are okay. He threw it hard.
10 seconds.
Wow, and a page out of Maurice Smith versus Coleman. Williams using the palm of his hand to push away Randleman's head, but he's covering the mouth, cutting his air in the process. Interesting strategy by Williams.
Well, the good start so far, as the ultimate is on the line. 2 rounds in the books, 3 to go if this fight goes the duration. 15 more minutes of pure brute and strength and competition in the ultimate playground, the Octagon, and the world's most famous mixed martial arts competition, and I truly mean the world's, the UFC. Don't forget UFC New Year's Eve, Ultimate New Year's Eve, forthcoming. Make your plans early to spend New Year's Eve with us. And then in the next millennium, February 4th, we will be with you. Site yet to be determined for UFC 24.
Well, both seem fine in the corner. Both seem very relaxed. Neither one's really fatigued in any way. It'll be interesting to see how this third period goes. Randleman seems fine. Whatever injury or knot or cramp or stinger he got in his ribs there seemed to be okay. If it was anything to do with the ribs, I don't know if it was his shoulder or if it was the way Williams was on him and his left arm trapped. But it didn't appear there were any blows that would hurt Randleman. Randleman was fine. Pete only got around at the very end and only got a couple of opportunities to strike down at him, and Randleman's up and fighting well.
Now, Randleman said after the fight with Rutan, listen, all I know is after the fight, the man's nose, his cheekbone, his jaw, he might have even swallowed his tooth, were all damaged. He did absolutely nothing to me except 2 cuts on the back of my head. So he was very vocal, very fired up for this fight. And Petey was your typical Petey. Very quiet, considerate, not that Kevin isn't. A perfect gentleman who, once that gate closes, turns into an absolute warrior.
And Randleman right now has Pete stuck in a front headlock, as we say in wrestling. Try to transition to a choke there, but Williams sliding his hips under, putting Randleman in his guard. And we're going to fight from here again.
What can Kevin do from here? What can Pete do from here?
As a wrestler, Randleman's going to have to remove some old reflexes and learn how to pass guard. It's something that most wrestlers have a difficult time doing because all of their instincts and reflexes have been trained to cover a man and keep them down, but not on their back, on their stomach. When suddenly they go to their back, it's a totally different feeling, and it takes time to learn how to really be offensive from there. But the main tactic that Randleman has learned is ground and pound, and that's what we're seeing right here. Williams is prepared for it, having already fought someone like Randleman, Mark Coleman, And he's doing the same kind of style that he did against Coleman, and that is protect himself, but be active enough to always make Randleman work and adjust in that incremental movement and incremental burning of energy, looking for a way to transition to perhaps possibly that arm bar again. He's also good with the knee bar.
Randleman staying busy. A couple of quick jabs, punches that have connected to Pete Williams' face. 250 remains in the third of 5 potential rounds here for the heavyweight championship of the UFC. Our thanks to all the dignitaries of UFCJ for helping us to continue our worldwide agreement to bring you the best in mixed martial arts competition.
Those
Mr.
are
Kuroki, Mr. Sakata, all great men who work so well with Bob Myrowitz. And we hope to return to Japan again in our UFC future. Wonderful country. They understand the fight game, and they certainly are enjoying the great competition here in the heavyweight matchup.
Oh, the Japanese love this sport. In fact, this sport has thrived in Japan for some time now. Pace has slowed way down. And the one thing I can say is this is the tallest person I think Randleman has fought in terms of Pete Williams, and this is really giving him problems in the guard. It also may give him problems on his feet in that the head's a little bit higher. That means your punch has to be a little bit higher, and Randleman throws arcing punches. He doesn't throw straight punches.
You can hear Ken Shamrock saying to Petey, he's tired, come on. And that is the danger when you pack that much muscle in a ground and pound type figure. We've seen it happen to Coleman getting gassed. Now Randleman has assured us that he'll never gas out. But that's still yet to be determined as he works with a quick left and still continues to be well inside the closed guard of Pete Williams. Trying an elbow. 124 remains in the third round.
I'm not sure how effective those strikes are. They look more like the heel of the hand just coming down a little bit in a hack. Nothing behind them, no straight line.
1 minute, 5 seconds. Tom Foley, who's been training with John Peretti and grappling all week long, enjoying the sights of Japan. The U.S. ambassador to Japan in attendance and the former Speaker of the House. So we are hopeful that Mr. Foley also enjoyed a first-hand experience in mixed martial arts, the Super Bowl of mixed martial arts, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So the dignitaries from Japan, Mr. Tom Foley, and others in attendance again this evening in beautiful Tokyo.
Look at how far he's stretched out. He can hardly reach Pete Williams' face, and he's still trying to strike him. And this is where you've got to learn how to be able to pass the guard, get to the side mount or the full mount to be able to strike effectively. But this is Randleman's style of fighting, and he has thus far been effective with ground and pound, being able to take Williams down, keep him down, prevent any kind of submission threat from coming, and then try to get some strikes in. And he's being conservative. He's not just going out there and flailing away. That usually leads to mistakes. And Randleman looking good after that round, but still pretty close fight.
Now, some of Petey's thoughts were that he truly, talking about Kevin Randleman, is going to have to throw a bomb and knock me out in this fight, because he feels, Pete Williams, that he will not be beaten by a submission. He knows the danger of that man's striking ability, but what differs between Boss Rutan and Pete Williams is the size advantage, as you said, and also a superior ground game for Pete Williams. People underestimate, I think, Jeff, and you and I have talked about this with Big John before, off camera and at breakfast at different venues. Pete Williams is as versatile a heavyweight as we have in the game right now.
Certainly well-rounded, has a bunch of different skills he can bring to bear in the octagon, and what that really allows him to do is adapt. And what I mean by adapt is if he's caught in different positions that he's usually not in, he has the skills to still work from them. Somebody like Randleman really operates out of ground and pound. That's his forte. You could see in that one scramble when Williams got on top of him, it didn't look at all like Randleman was comfortable.
I mean, and probably the best submission guy in the heavyweight division right now. I'm just trying to think of the fights. I know he's won by a couple of submissions, but we've seen ground and pounders. We've seen strikers like Maurice Smith, Couture, a ground and pounder, Coleman, a ground and pounder, Fry. I mean, you can go back throughout and not see the submission finishes in the heavyweight division in any other fighter like we've seen with Pete Williams.
Seems to be his consistent mode of operation. And hey, what's effective is what you always want to bring to bear. And what's effective for Randleman is, I'm going to get you off your feet, and you're going to have to deal with me trying to punch you.
And that is where Pete talked about it. He doesn't think he can be submitted. To be able to submit most times, and Frank Shamrock, the perfect example, is to be able to submit is also to understand how not to be submitted. So what Kevin can do in this position is the big question mark, as we still have about 9 minutes of competition officially remaining.
Well, he was able to go ahead and get an armbar on Randleman, and that armbar looked really good. I don't understand why it didn't set, other than the athletic abilities of Mr. Randleman. But that is true. That's exactly what he wants to do. And what he doesn't want to do is wait for Randleman to make a mistake. What really MMA has come to is more of an active guard to transition, sort of what Shamrock did to Tito Ortiz. I'm not just going to lay there and let you try ground and pound and defend it. I'm going to constantly move, and you're going to spend half your time just trying to hanging on to me, and then the rest of it hoping you have the energy after hanging on to me to even strike at me. And because of that, there's never just that one mistake that you wait for. You help to create the mistakes by your opponent.
Well, Kevin is staying busy. He does not want this fight to come down to a judge's decision. It would be our second rendered judge's decision of the night if that were to claim to bear. And our judges, Yumaki, Maruyama, and Fukasi, could be forced to make a pick. But, of course, Kevin still distraught over the last time it came to a judge's decision. And one can argue that inactivity at the end of the fight is what cost Kevin Randleman that decision against Boss Rutten. So while he's keeping busy here in the fourth round, Randleman needs to also pace himself to make sure that he does not leave a less than positive impression in the judge's mind at the end of the fifth round if it goes that long.
We have not really seen any of that in this fight yet, where someone tries to steal the round at the end by doing something. But part of the reason is what can Pete Williams do from the bottom except attempt a submission to really steal a round? Randleman is in control. He's got the takedown. He's hitting him with some strikes. He feels this is a safe and effective and totally limits what Williams can do. And so instead of going open and look for the knockout, he's saying, well, Williams can only do this to me. And I am doing this, and maybe, I can get a flurry or two more in if Williams makes a mistake. So what I've done is create the environment where everything is tilted to favor me. And it may not be the most flashiest, but as Pat Miletich said, win, baby, I got the belt.
Well, someone said it before Pat Miletich.
Of course.
But Pat Miletich has proven true to that statement.
This is better than the NFL.
You got that right. This is the Super Bowl of mixed martial arts. Mike Goldberg, Jeff Blatnick, James Wormy. 1 minute, 25 seconds remains in round 4. I love listening to the former champions in the corner. Take no prisoners attitude by both of these fighters and their managers. And I mean, there's a hero worship for Pete Williams with Ken Shamrock, and vice versa. I mean, the relationship at Ohio State well documented with Kevin Randleman and Mark the Hammer Coleman.
Williams needs to be more active on the bottom. He needs to create some scenarios where he has a chance to do it. Start turning. Start going to your side and forcing Randleman to hang on to you. And then continue to crawl so that Randleman burns energy defending against you instead of burning energy trying to be offensive against you. And that change in just tactic can possibly create openings, because nobody likes to always be on the defense. After a while, that can cause some frustration that leads to mistakes. So really, Williams has to do that. And it took Frank Shamrock against Tito Ortiz to truly wear him out. Nearly 4 rounds. And that's what we've come up to here. And it doesn't appear to me that Randleman is worn out. Randleman still seems very fresh. I think Randleman on his feet right now could take Williams down. It's just Williams now, good defense with the guard, but can't generate the offense, which asks the question, how can I win from here?
And Randy Couture was victorious in December of '97 over Maurice Smith for many of the same reasons that you just described. Round 4 is complete. And Kevin Randleman has to be in the lead. As of this point, a single flurry by Pete Williams at the end of round 1 has really been El Duro's only offense thus far.
And it was good offense. He hit him with some good punches that seemed to semi-stun Randleman, but clearly Randleman was fighting after Williams got on top of him in that pretty bizarre position where he was sitting on his chest but could not even see Randleman's head. And in the ensuing maneuvering to try to get to a point where he could attack Randleman, that's when Randleman must have hurt the rib, or because the arm got caught in there and got twisted. Something happened to him that it took him a while to be able to get up there in that first round. But as I said, Big John McCarthy talking with him, there appeared to be, no problem with Randleman other than an apparent stinger or of some kind.
Both fighters ready to put a capper on our evening here in Tokyo. NK Hall, Tokyo Bay. 5 minutes remains. The winner will be the new UFC heavyweight champion. You hear Mark Coleman talking about Kevin Randleman being way ahead. Make him come to you.
I'm not sure he's way ahead. A dominant round by Williams right now might be able to pull the fight out.
Again, the mental part of it, Jeff, of Kevin Randleman feeling comfortable with being way ahead.
And yeah, maybe that's what Coleman's trying to do.
But you can't jump out and make a mistake either.
That's correct, and certainly you don't want to feed your athlete the wrong information who may say, well, then I'll shut down and possibly give the fight away. But I have to agree. I think Randleman is ahead, but I don't think it's by way ahead. And once again, easily taking Big Pete Williams down. And this is where Randleman can do some damage. But he's not throwing punches, he's wrestling. He's got a one-on-one and an ankle pick like he's trying to break him down. And this is what's so difficult for a champion wrestler to overcome. And those are his instincts. And he was trained to hold people down here. Why he isn't attacking the neck, why he isn't bringing a knee into the side, why he isn't swinging outside to hit the head. Instead, he's riding him, what we call riding in wrestling.
Part of that equation, Jeff, is that the respect for Pete Williams' ability to take one little mistake and end the fight on it?
Well, I think the patented Lion's Den move here is if he moves up to take the neck, he's going to do a forward roll like that and try to catch Randleman's leg. And Randleman was well coached, had it scouted out. He would have none of it.
Well called, partner. Petey looks fatigued.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I mean, I'm surprised at that. I'm surprised at that.
You got 235 pounds of muscle just working you and working you.
Yeah,
and
with
working
3 minutes left, he's got to feel a little bit of pressure that he needs to do something because he really doesn't have anything to cheer about except way back in the first round.
He got ground and pounded by Mark Coleman. And then all of a sudden now Coleman was much more gassed at this point in the fight than Kevin, undoubtedly.
And it was obvious, not only to us, but to the fighter, his opponent in the ring, and he took full advantage of it. But here you can see Randleman poised, hands up high. There's no way you're going to wing a punch in there unless it's so straight and fast that Randleman doesn't see it. And Randleman's got too much energy right now to miss something like that. And it looks as though Williams is afraid to throw a big bomb because he knows Randleman's waiting to go under him. Petey in a tough spot. Let's see if he's setting him up.
Randleman has even commented on the knockout of his good friend Mark Coleman. And with respect towards the hammer, Kevin said, I'm not going to get caught in that situation. And the way he's bouncing on his feet, it apparently seems to be true.
Inherently, his athleticism in terms of stamina and such is greater than Mark Coleman's, and that's not going to allow it to happen. I don't know what that slap was on the face there either. It looked like he was talking to Pete Williams for a second, but hey, Randleman's shutting down. He's forcing Williams to come to him, and Williams is not responding. Williams is really not picking up any kind of offense, and I'd have to say that Williams is tired. This is his first 5-minute fight. This is territory he's never been in before in terms of stamina.
Yeah, his first 5 rounds of 5 minutes, 25 minutes. You're right. El Duro has 1 minute and 40 seconds to change the minds of our 3 judges.
Well,
Tries with an uppercut.
I think Randleman can put this fight away if he can get another takedown and keep Williams down. I'm not sure he wants to stay up on the feet. He got hit by Williams once. There's no reason why he can't feel he can do it again, but certainly on the ground, Randleman hasn't had to worry about anything.
Way ahead, Kevin. Way ahead on the card.
You hear Coleman again.
1 minute. 1 minute. 50 seconds, Kevin.
And Williams just does not have an answer. Williams just doesn't seem to have the energy.
You can see it in Petey's eyes. Yeah, there you go. Big John says, come on, we got to get something going.
Well, he shouldn't have to speak. He shouldn't have to speak. Williams should be coming after him. Williams has to feel that he's behind because he has not done anything except for that one flurry. Randleman's hit him, and Randleman has taken him down. And it looked like he was going to get the takedown again there.
But Pete knows if he gets brought down again, that could be the end of the night. Just because physically he won't be able to get up. And there it is.
Inside trip again.
And there it is.
He needs to be careful. He doesn't want to keep those arms out like that, extended. You want to bring the elbows down.
That takedown may have wrapped up the heavyweight championship for Kevin Randleman.
Well, if he doesn't get caught like that, and yes, oh, a nice
a combination.
Now
Perhaps
Williams
the
is
explanation
chasing him.
point.
Williams needed to be doing this a little earlier, chasing him down, but even here, he seems to lack the energy to really be able to put him away.
The kick misses, the mouthpiece comes out, and the bell sounds. 5 rounds, 5 minutes each, 25 minutes of competition for the heavyweight fight. And you see the look of disappointment on the face of El Duro, Pete Williams, and perhaps jubilation just moments away for that young man. Heavyweight contender, soon to be champion, we will see, Kevin Randleman.
Well, Williams had it going his way early on, it appeared. But it appeared as though Randleman went back to basics, did what he did best, stayed within himself, and that is takedown and ground and pound. And he was very effective in it. And after figuring out how Williams transitioned into that first armbar, he was able to stay away from it the rest of the fight. And I'm not sure if Pete had really nearly any enough offense to feel that he can even gain a draw out of this. I think there was enough offense done by Randleman, certainly not as much as he did against Boss Rutten, but enough here to earn the title. So let's see what the judges have to say. Williams coming over to congratulate Williams.
Great show of sportsmanship again between two great competitors, Pete Williams, Kevin Randleman. Believe me, the days have been long and hard for Randleman. Almost as if Williams is conceding the fact that Randleman will get this decision here. But they have been long and hard since the disappointment of the fight against Boss Rutten. The official decision comes from Bruce Buffer.
And new UFC heavyweight champion of the world, the monster, Kevin Randleman.
It's official. Kevin Randleman has defeated Pete Williams. Randleman's day is today.